Every statistic is a story, and every trend that we find in crime is a trail leading us closer to solving the case. Hi, everyone. I'm Randy Warren, Public Information Officer here at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. And today, we're talking about strategies behind crime analysis on the Well Said podcast with everybody's favorite sheriff, Rick Wells.
Randy, how you doing?
We're good.
You're looking very nice today.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been back at Dillard's, I see.
Dillard's, the sale racks at all of the favorite department stores.
You know, we never give a shout out to Jimmy, who's behind the scenes running the cameras.
Jimmy
got Melissa
Nicholson.
Yeah, Jimmy Nicholson. We got Melissa Conway doing something, but she's on
Melissa
top of things.
Is behind the scenes, constantly keeping things flowing. So while we're sitting here in our studio off the Public Information Office, Melissa is answering emails, phone calls, working on social media. Always something. We're always, like you, Sheriff, we're busy.
Got a lot going on. Absolutely.
It's been a busy summer.
It has been. I haven't taken any vacations this summer. Can you say the same?
I did take a vacation.
You did? Okay.
I did. Right. And I had some good, valuable time. By the way, we've got...
hold on one second.
We're going to get to
Elicia.
Elicia.
We're going to get to you.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I did. I took a vacation with family.
More than one?
One, like a weekend here, day off. But I do like to take time off. Yeah. I admit that.
You know what they call me? The constant.
You are.
I'm always here.
And I always tell you
always working.
That, and everyone would probably agree, I'm not as strong as he is, probably, emotionally? I need a break. Sometimes we call those days where you just take a trip and you just kind of hit the reset button.
I don't know what that means.
You don't need to do that.
No, you're good. You're good. You do you. But we are very fortunate to have with us Elicia Main. Elicia is the crime analysis manager. She is a crime analyst who has been with us for 13 years, but she's been a crime analyst for 11. And a lot of people don't even know what that means. If you go back 40 years ago, and we always talk about, 40 years ago when I started in law enforcement, we didn't have someone like Elicia and her team to help us with crime trends and the data that goes with that and trying to pinpoint where criminals may hit next, or with crimes that we were investigating, how we could link them to that crime. And we didn't have the technology that we have now. We didn't have the phones and all the data that comes with your cell phone every day, and cameras and everything that we use now. That Elicia she's so sharp in pinpointing where crime is occurring and where it may occur again. She has a great team. She's been a true blessing to me and the district captains and everyone, because every week we're talking about crime, every day really, but we're going to meet every 2 weeks and they're going to have to show me what they're doing, right? So these district captains have to show me what's going on in their district, how are they combating crime, and what are we doing about it, right? What are we going to do to prevent? Because the biggest goal for us every day is to limit crime. That's it. We're not going to eliminate it.
Right.
We want to limit the amount of victims we have in this county. And I mean, right now we are 21% down in crime.
That's great.
Now we don't even like to talk about it because we are afraid. We are superstitious. We're going to mess that up. But I mean, we're almost 30% down in violent crime.
Right. So for comparison, negative 21% overall.
Right.
And then violent down 31%. And that's a stat that we are proud of, and we know it can change.
Yeah, and that's why we don't talk about it too much until the end of the year, because we don't want something to change as we are. We're not going to pound ourselves on the chest. Right. We just keep going steady every day. These guys and these women are out here working. These deputies are working hard, and it's a big deal for us when we can see these type of results, because we know what we're doing is working, and Elicia is a big part of that. So, Elicia, I want to ask you, I want you to go through your background. How did you even get started in this line of work, how did you know that you wanted to become a crime analyst, and why was that appealing to you?
I didn't actually know that what I wanted to do was called crime analysis. I knew that I loved putting together puzzles. I knew that I loved figuring things out, always very curious. And I learned that in law enforcement, that's a lot of what they do, is they figure things out. So I went through the journey of becoming a crime scene technician. And then I discovered that I really don't like bugs. So I said, this isn't exactly what I'm looking for. And I don't like to age myself, but when I went through college, there weren't courses in crime analysis to kind of teach you that. So I began at the sheriff's office in human resources and discovered that there was a crime analysis unit, which is vastly different from what the crime analysis unit is now, because that 10 years ago, technology was very different. So crime analysis has kind of had to relearn how they do what they do. But I discovered this position while working in human resources and said, that is what I've always wanted to do. So I transferred from the human resources department into the crime analysis unit. It was very small at the time. There was only 4 of us. And over the next 10 years, it grew drastically. There's now 9 of us now. The technology that we use is vast. It helps us get to solutions much faster. So all I can really say is that I love my job. I really, truly think it is the best job in the entire agency.
And you oversee a lot.
We do.
Which we'll get into in this conversation.
Yes.
Decoding numbers. And we always throw intel in there, intelligence, and I know you'll explain that. So really you and your team, you got to be smart people.
Yes. Everybody in the team is incredibly smart.
But tell me this, Elicia. Let's go back 11 years ago when you first started. What was your basic tools compared to what you have available to you in the unit now? What was every day when you're doing crime trends? What are you using? What tools were available?
Yeah, the biggest tool we used was our records management system and information sharing between agencies. So the data that we got was from our own records management system, and we used Excel to come up with a lot of the crime stats that we did. We did it for tracking for crime trends, but we didn't have a lot of other tools besides that and kind of our brains to help us draw the conclusions of where patrol should go next, where a suspect might target next. We didn't have a lot of tools, so we used what we had at the time. And then it gradually started to grow from there. One of the things I remember from in the very early stages is when we would do a cell phone analysis. We drew the cell phone analysis by hand using a protractor and a pencil. Today, we have programs that assist us in drawing that. So the methodology is not any different. You still have to verify the data. You still have to use a protractor to make sure the programs did it right. But the technology helps us make a visual representation of things without us actually drawing with a protractor.
Wow.
So it's grown a lot.
Yeah. You have a slide rule too?
Yeah. We do.
So I remember it's been about 10 years ago. So when I was the colonel, we would come to you, and there was a program. Was it like a geofencing, something that we had with phones? You remember that?
Yes.
That was like a big deal for us.
It was a big
And then it went away.
Yes.
But tell us about that.
We've had 2 separate things. We've had one, Geophedia, which allowed us to obtain the data from social media. It allowed us to gather that data in a very easy format. And then through the time as those social media platforms changed, we weren't able to do that anymore. Then the other one that we have called geofencing was the technology where we would get location information through Google. So anything that Google owned, if it had location data, we were able to take that location data and map it depending on the devices that the suspect had with them.
Yeah, I think it's important to clarify. We're using that because we're working a case.
Correct.
And we have a suspect, and we're trying to figure out where that suspect was at during the crime, right? We're trying
Yes.
to, a lot of times we're trying to put them in the area of the crime. That the social media component was very helpful when it came to threats, right? Threats
Correct.
being made on social media. We would receive that information and we would gather that information a lot quicker than we would normally.
Yes.
Sometimes not at all. I mean, unless someone called us, correct?
Correct. Yes. And a lot of the things that we are looking for in that are things that Facebook and Instagrams, these are things that their algorithms are looking for anyways. So we're looking for things such as threats, guns, any kind of violence. So we were looking for the same things that those social media platforms were also looking for. We were just looking for them as it related to a particular crime. And one example we like with the fencing is we had a case where a horse went missing and it was located deceased down on the side of the road. And there was some video footage of the suspect who took the horse. So we knew that the phone was being used in commission of the crime. And so we used that information to say, let's ask Google for this geofence information and see if we can figure out who the owner of that phone was. And we were successful in doing so.
That was an amazing case, too, because we had video of him standing there holding a phone. So all we had to do was figure out whose phone that belonged to, and we'd find out who the guy was. And we got a lot of attention on that case.
No, we got a lot of
and it ended,
national
ended
attention.
well. Ended well because of the technology.
Yes.
And we know that bad guys make mistakes, and we like to capitalize on that. In this case, technology solved the case.
But social media started to limit that access, right?
Correct.
And we no longer have that available
Correct.
to us today still. And so what is going forward? What are you looking at now? So let's go step by step. So we get rid of two very really great programs to help us fight crime or solve crime. Where do we go when they cut that? When they cut do you still have geofencing?
We do not.
Right? And
Yep.
we don't have, what did you call the first one?
Geophedia.
Geophedia. We don't have any of that. So what did you do?
So most of what we do revolves around phones. Phones are a computer inside your pocket. There's not many people in this country that don't have phones. And we tend to carry those phones with us everywhere. So the information that's in those phones gives us so much valuable information about who has that phone, where that phone has been, and inside those phones gives the providers keep track of the information in those phones. We use that information to help us find where a phone may have been. And because of the evolution of phones, we don't just use them for phone calls, we also use them for data. So all the data that's being saved on the phone or saved with the provider, that's giving us location information on the phones as well. So the data on the phones, the text messages, the voice calls, all of that stuff is being saved by the cell phone providers. And they're using that to make their business better. And so law enforcement is harnessing the data that they have to help us solve crimes.
So Sheriff, you think about this probably, right? Go back to when people didn't have smartphones. You could get away with something a little easier, maybe longer before an arrest is made. And we don't want to, tell people, how to evade law enforcement and capture. But man, it is hard to not have a trail of where you were been. And that's exactly what you're spending time on while the detectives, our deputies are out there starting the case and detectives are out running around and they're doing all the legwork of talking to people and you're connecting dots.
Yes. And in relation to those cell phones, we're also allowing those phones to drive us to where other evidence might be available. So we're using the phone information with the license plate reader information, with the video technology. And sometimes what we're able to pull together is not only do we know where this phone has traveled, but now we can also lead detectives that because this phone traveled in that location and we're familiar with the license plate readers and the video cameras in that area, this is a place where you might be able to find additional evidence that helps. So not only does it allow us to know where a device has been, but it also allows us to lead the detectives to where they might be able to find some more information.
So you have to understand, though, so the detectives are they're having to get a subpoena to obtain the information. They're going through that. They're getting the phone. You got to get the phone, or you got to get the phone number. So the detectives are doing a lot behind the scenes to try to gather all that information.
And that takes a little time.
It takes a little bit of time. So Elicia can do her thing, right? And I mean, we rely on her and her team a lot, and they're awesome. But we're doing this every day.
More than people realize, which is why you're here, and explaining what our crime analysis unit does, and it's impressive. It really is.
Well, it is. So let's move up a couple years. So we got the phones. I mean, we didn't really start having that data available until smartphones.
Right.
Right. So you want to
like
go
you
back.
said, a
the
computer.
The first
in your
phone I
pocket.
had was a bag phone.
I had one too in my car.
Elicia was probably like 3. Okay, you plugged it into the cigarette lighter, right?
Right.
But the smartphones, that's just a mini computer. That's everything that we're looking for we can find in that phone most of the time.
Yeah. Steve McGarrett had a phone in his car. His Ford LTD.
Elicia has no clue what you're talking about.
Hawaii 5.0. Don't you remember?
I do know Hawaii 5.0.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, I'm sorry, I digress. We have these things tracking
we're old.
everything, and like you're saying, the bad guys have it, the good guys have them. Everybody's got phones, there are cameras everywhere, and so like you're saying, it's just like what a difference.
Well, yeah. So phones are one component, and then here comes cameras. Here comes Ring videos, especially, but a lot more cameras. At a residence, at businesses now than, I'll go back 8 years ago. I mean, everyone seems to have a camera now. How do you use that? How do you use the cameras that we have throughout the county? And where did you start to really lean on like the Ring cameras? And where have you gone from that point? Because I know we do a lot with Ring.
Yeah, so I like to say that part of the evolution of crime analysis is when there was this big change in technology. So these cameras are easily accessible by everybody. Everyone has one in their pocket, on their phone. The cameras outside the residence, the Ring doorbells you order it on Amazon, it's there the next day. All these things are much more accessible to a lot more people. So what we saw was the more that they started adding these technologies in their daily lives, our ability to look at crime trends changed simply because we now have more technology providing us with the video. So if a resident says somebody stole the package that I ordered, their Ring camera captures it. This individual doesn't have a chance to go commit this crime 6 more times before we catch on to the pattern of them committing it.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We use that information to stop the crime from continuing to occur.
And not to jump ahead because you may be prepared to say that, but we have a program where people can help us to be able to get to that quicker.
We do, yes. So we have a camera registry program. So what the camera registry program allows us to do is it allows us to place on a map locations of cameras. So it does not stream the cameras, but it simply tells us that there are cameras available at these residents should something happen and law enforcement need it. The camera registry program just gives us contact information so that person is saying, we have cameras in the area. Should something happen and law enforcement needs to contact us, you can do so at this number.
What's that called, and where can people find that?
It's called Manatee Overwatch, and it can be located on our website at manateesheriff.com.
So let me repeat.
Mm-hmm.
It does not give us access to your camera. It simply lets us know that if we have a crime in that area, we can identify your residence as having a camera, and you're giving us permission to contact you, right, to hopefully obtain the footage that you have from your camera. That's it.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier for the detectives, so now they're not walking down the street knocking on doors, asking people if they got cameras.
Gives us a little heads up
Right.
to know where to look. And there's good verbiage on that your team put together. You can read about it on our website, like you said. But there's another part of that with businesses that's a little different, right?
Yeah, with businesses, it's slightly different in that they are open to sharing that information should an emergency occur. So if an emergency occurs and they have gotten on board with providing the video to law enforcement, it would give us access to that video in the event something happens. And it's only in the event something happens. It wouldn't just be free access to all of their video footage, but specifically, the business has partnered with the sheriff's office and a crime has occurred, and that video would then become available to us, often in real time as that crime is occurring.
You're not spying on anybody with this.
We do not have time to spy on anyone, I assure you.
Sure.
Well,
People are always asking.
Well, and that we always hear from some people, oh, Big Brother, cameras are taboo. It's Big Brother watching. I've never once had a victim of a crime that we solved from a camera tell me, I don't think we can use that. That's Big Brother. If we can solve crime, they're happy, right? Any way that we can use technology to help us solve crime is a good thing. And we don't even know how many times a day we have a camera focused on us. You can't go to Walmart. You can't go across the Skyway.
Right.
You can't go through an intersection. There are cameras all over the place. And you really don't know what information they're gathering. With us, you know exactly
Sure.
What we're doing.
Do you think it's in the back of the minds of most people, though? When you commit a crime, maybe you didn't plan it out well enough, but we're gonna have a license plate reader.
I don't think most criminals think anything out for the most part. They just commit the crime and move on. We have thousands of videos of people committing vehicle burglaries in neighborhoods, all from residential videos, all from Ring or another video. They send it to us, and we can tell you exactly what they do. They just walk down the street checking door handles, and we've talked about this 100 times to citizens. All they want is an unlocked door. And we can see them checking door handles. They find one, they go in. Right, Elicia? We got thousands. Yes. So we know exactly what they do, and that's why we push so strongly to educate the public on the importance of locking your door.
And so with all these cameras and all of this technology that we have in our crime analysis unit, you guys have what's called the Real-Time Crime Center. Sheriff, this is the most impressive room in the sheriff's office, probably. When you walk in there, it looks like mission control monitors and maps and people sitting behind computers and their headsets on. Tell us about that. We refer to it as Arctic, but
yes. So this would probably be the next evolution of the crime analysis in law enforcement. Is now that we have all this technology and it's growing so rapidly, how do we catch up with it? And so the Real-Time Information Center is how we do that. We are harnessing all of this technology that we have available, and we're applying it to the calls as they come in real time. So in the Real-Time Crime Center, not only are they using the technology, but they're also utilizing the research skills that we've learned throughout the entire history of crime analysis. And we're applying that information by providing it to the deputies on the road. So not only are we not waiting for a crime trend to occur because we have camera footage, that camera footage will see that this person has committed this crime, and then we can relay that information to patrol in real time. So not only is it that we're able to find out who did it, but we're able to catch them a lot quicker. And so anytime we can solve that problem on the road, it's going to free up resources because now that case doesn't have to go to a detective. So it provides an additional situational awareness to the deputies on the road when we have access to these cameras. It helps them get to these locations with more information so they're not walking in blindly to some of these things. And then we're able to provide that additional support by monitoring the cameras that we do have access to. So there's an additional officer safety component involved with it.
And you have access to traffic cameras at the county level, state?
Yes, we have access to a very large variety of cameras. I couldn't begin to list all of them for you. But yes, we have access to a large amount of live cameras. We have access to some that are recorded. And again, we have access to just information about where these cameras are located, even if we don't necessarily have access inside or access to the camera footage itself.
Who is monitoring the cameras? Who do you have sitting there each and every day at that command center viewing cameras?
We have the crime analysts sitting there reviewing the cameras and doing all of the research.
And I hear it every day. So you'll have a deputy on scene needing information. All the analysts for Arctic have radios. They're communicating with the deputy, right, giving them information right then and there. Not waiting for somebody to have to call dispatch and call someone else. Arctic is communicating and making sure the deputy has all the information about a particular suspect or a person they're with. We don't know if this is a violent person. We don't know if they've just committed a crime. We don't know if they've committed crimes in the past. So these analysts are helping real-time situations daily, and they're really good at what they do.
And you refer to that as the intel that's in these bulletins, that is sensitive, law enforcement sensitive information that they're getting, by email or even a phone call or over the radio.
Yes.
And we're hoping to add 2 more in October, and that will give you a total of what? How many Arctic analysts will you have at that point?
We'll have 4 Arctic analysts, but we'll have 11 total analysts at that time.
More people to add to that technology that is just keeping us maybe just a slight step ahead of that. Elicia, facial comparison, not to be confused maybe with facial recognition, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So again, people get sensitive about that. Oh my gosh, this is like watching a Bourne movie or something where, they tap into something in a matter of seconds. They're identifying some guy from Russia or something. Tell us how that works here.
So with the evolution of video, now that everybody has video and everybody's on video all the time, the technology has grown so that now using that video, we can attempt to identify who's on the videos using information that we already have. For instance, we might get a video of a subject committing a crime who's been previously arrested. What we're able to do is use that video technology, obtain an image from it, and compare it to a database of images that we already have. So that's the big difference between recognition and comparison, is that we don't have an infinite database of every human in this world. We're using a database of information we have and comparing it to the face instead of recognizing the face.
So you actually still have to go in and compare, right,
Yes.
the 2 pictures, the video and the picture, and make sure that they are the same person.
That is correct. So the tool will lead us in the right direction, but then from there, the actual analysis of it is being completed by one of the analysts. And they don't just stop at the facial recognition. They'll go even further into the background to ensure that the information they're getting from that is as accurate as they can get it.
And that's important because oftentimes, Randy tells me that people compare me to him, that he looks like me. And, so I wouldn't want there to be a mix-up.
A bald version without a cowboy hat.
I can see the resemblance.
Right. Not at all. We have the same initials, RW. Yeah, that's about it.
But that is important because we actually have eyes on that are making that validation that
Yes.
this is the suspect. This is the same person.
That's correct, yes.
Talk about LPRs. I think there's a big misconception out there about LPRs
And
and
that's
what we do with that information.
License plate reader, for those that don't know.
Yes. So the LPRs, the license plate readers, allow us to capture tag information on vehicles. It's capturing thousands and thousands of tags all the time. And so originally, when we got license plate reader information, it just stored the data until somebody needed it. And so in crime analysis, we utilize that to figure out where these vehicles may lie. So again, it doesn't tell us who's in the vehicle, but it might tell us where a specific vehicle is that we're researching for a case. We do not research every single tag that is running through Manatee County all the time. I think anybody who's driven the streets of Manatee County knows that's not going to be possible because there's so much traffic. And so that technology has also grown tremendously, where we now have artificial intelligence helping us with some of these things. So it's capturing the tag of a vehicle, but it's also now capturing the color, the make, the model. They're capturing bumper stickers, whether there's rust on it, whether there's damage on it. And so what it allows us to do is eliminate a lot of vehicles that have nothing to do with our case, but it also allows us to locate vehicles that might be involved in some of these vehicle burglaries that are occurring. So it's the repository of information is really just a tool that allows us to locate additional information to assist the detectives in their investigations.
So each day, we're collecting thousands of tags. How long does that information stay in the database before it's eliminated?
It depends on the software company that is being used. Some can keep them for much longer. Generally speaking, we keep it for about 30 days because it's a lot of data. So the more data that gets collected, the harder it is to save these things. That's something that the entire country is kind of experiencing with this technology, the way it's growing. And this is not any different than that. So they don't hold the entire history of where a vehicle has traveled for a very long time.
So let's say this. So let's just go something as simple as a stolen vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Deputy responds, takes a report. We have the tag. That tag goes into the LPR system. Now, anytime that stolen vehicle passes through one of our LPRs, we're going to get an alert. Not only in Manatee County, but LPRs in Sarasota, Hillsborough County, Pinellas, wherever. We're going to know where the vehicle's at. We are going to get an alert, and then hopefully we can arrest the suspect. I mean, that's a simple way that it's used every day.
I like to give another example because I think this is one of the ways I think it's been the most useful and it's the most rewarding for the analysts is with missing persons.
Yep.
Anytime a missing person's uploaded in the national database, that information is also in the LPR systems. And we are constantly getting alerts for individuals that are missing and endangered. And we're able to locate these individuals and recover them using that technology. And I think that's huge because these are individuals who truly need the help of law enforcement, and we're able to use that LPR technology to help find their loved ones.
Somebody goes missing. It could even be a silver alert or something like that. Somebody goes missing out of Manatee County, but the car has been seen going northbound on the interstate. It's in another county. Valuable.
Yes, very valuable.
To be able to know that at least the vehicle was there.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, we're very proud when we get to recover one of those individuals
Absolutely.
in the real-time crime center using this technology. It's a very rewarding feeling.
What are some things that people can access very easily to know what's happening in their own backyard, on their own street? We've had crime mapping type software available before. We had a change on that, I think, in the last year. Tell us about that.
We do post the information through a website called communitycrimemaps.com. And what this does, it's a very clean version of the data that the analysts get, and that's to protect the victims and such. But it is a map software that allows you to see what crime is occurring where in Manatee County. Typically, we see it used for individuals who say, we're interested in moving to Manatee County. We'd like to know what the crime is there, if you can tell us that. And so one of the things that we like to tell them is that it's kind of subjective to each person, right? What I think might be a safe neighborhood might not be what you think is a safe neighborhood. So we use this tool to say, go to the website so that you can basically be your own analyst and do your research to say, I'm going to compare this house the address of this house that we're looking at buying to maybe a house in another area that they're not familiar with. And it gives them a really good picture of the types of crimes that are occurring where they're looking to move.
Yeah, we've had realtors and, people looking at that constantly, people from out of town. I've gotten many calls where people say, hey, can you recommend a good neighborhood? We'd show them that.
Yes.
You can also do public records requests for calls of service and dive a little deeper into that. It's another thing you can do through our website. But crime mapping has been huge. And we've found even on our app, which you can access it through the Manatee Sheriff app, that was one of the most popular things that people wanted to use the app for, is looking at the crimes occurring through crime mapping. And that's good.
It's a very valuable resource to the community so that they can understand the crime that's occurring. And even individuals who are currently living here, if they're curious about the things that are going on in their neighborhoods, they can also use that tool. I think it's a great tool to see, hey, the neighborhood got hit last week with vehicle burglaries. Let me go back and see if I have video footage that can support that. Or maybe that's going on in my neighborhood. I should lock my car doors or be extra vigilant about it. So it's a resource for a lot of different reasons, but it's giving the community the ability to do their own research and help in the crime fighting that we're doing.
Right, and knowing where sexual offenders are at.
Yes. Yep, that is also available.
Sheriff?
She's just telling us what we already know. I mean, they are awesome. They are great. This is one of the most used units in the agency. I mean, everyone is coming to Elicia and those analysts every day wanting assistance from them to help them either pinpoint a crime trend, solve a crime, whatever. And she's really only kind of touching, the lower level of everything
it's an overview
that they do every day. And we really appreciate. We could not do our job effectively without them. They're valuable. I mean, that's all I can say.
We would be probably remiss in not mentioning, as we're recording this, we've just been dealing with a huge case without going into too much detail, but your whole team, along with all the detectives and personnel that have been working, a classic example of everybody working together within this whole sheriff's office to get stuff done.
Yeah, that's what Elicia said when she came in. Oh, this is 8 days in a row that I've seen you, because she's been involved with this case. Side by side with us for the last 8 days, because there's a lot of information that she had to put together, map out, and give me, so we could tell everyone else what was going on, and we don't want to get into a lot of detail, but yesterday at the press conference, I can't do that without her.
Right.
I needed all that data that she provided me.
And it took time. It took time to put all that together, which is why you couldn't, in this case, say something last week, because we're still waiting on things to come in.
But Alicia's looking at phones. She's gathering information from the phones. She's mapping it. She's, got all of us breathing on her, wondering how long it's going to take. I mean, it was a lot.
Is it done yet?
No, it's not entirely done. We'll keep going.
Yep, and there's still a lot more we got to put together, and her team are the reason why we're able to get to a final product, hopefully soon.
And for people that have questions, they can always reach out to us. You have good things on our website that speak specifically to the Real-Time Crime Center, I call it, and what the crime analysis are doing. This is stuff that's easily available. And, we get out in the community through our Citizens Academy and other times where we talk and we explain that, because people are fascinated by the technology. oftentimes Hollywood, portrays this image of how things can get done. And it almost feels like we're heading that direction and that we can do things so much faster, not as fast as you get in in an hour-long episode or a 2-hour movie, right? But man, it's impressive. And that's why I think it was so cool having you kind of break it down for us today, on the podcast.
I want Elicia to say one more thing about one more case before she leaves, because this was a big cold case that she solved. Mm-hmm. We had suspects, but she solved it because of phones. Do you remember that case?
I remember.
And let me tell you why she remembers this case. Not because of all the great work that she did. It's because I made her talk at the press conference.
Right.
He did. And I don't let him live it down.
I told her I wasn't going to use her, and then they started asking questions about, how we came up with this conclusion. Yeah. So talk briefly about that, Elicia, if you would.
Sure. It's going to be definitely a case of my career that I'm very proud of. I'm actually teaching in our International Association of Crime Analysts, the conference that's coming up in September, and that case is going to be presented to other analysts so they can see the great work that analysts can do in their own agencies. But for that case, it all came down to the phone records. Those phone records, when mapped out, tell the story of what happened to Amber. And there was no way for those suspects to dispute what happened to Amber when that information was used. So, and we talked just recently about the phone technology and how much it changed. The phones that were used then, I remember vividly, I had one of those phones. That technology is not the technology that we had when this analysis was done. So understanding the history of the technology and how it evolved played a really big part in what we knew 14 years later. And because of how phones changed, we were able to understand that data better further down the road and then apply that towards that case. So
yeah, that was the cold case of Amber Woods.
Yes.
And you can certainly find a lot of good information on that online. But we were very blessed and glad to see that case closed out. And
I was very happy to be a part of it. And
people are in jail now.
I can say for myself and my team that we are thrilled that we get to be a part of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office team, but it also the team of each investigation, that they get to have a part in that and supporting their colleagues in what is really the war against crime.
Well said.
It is. Thanks for being with us, Elicia.
Thank you, Sheriff.
And we want to encourage everybody to continue to follow us on all of our social platforms, because you can read about the things that we're talking about on the podcast. Check us out on our Facebook, our Instagram, our X, Twitter. Don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. You can email my office, pio@manateesheriff.com, with your thoughts, comments, suggestions for this podcast or any other questions that you might have. Continue to download the Well Said podcast. Tell your friends about it. Elicia, thank you. For Sheriff Rick Wells, I'm Randy Warren. We'll talk to you next time.